Yeah, I still say good morning to everybody. Thanks for joining this session. This session is about SIEM connectivity or interface to SIEM. I'm working in sales and in marketing, and I saw the first time just a year ago, perhaps it's 1.5 years ago, when the first customer asked about can you link your products to my Splunk? And you can imagine the first answer was, what is Splunk? And since 18 months, this situation completely changed. We see now, in more or less each deal, one of the first questions is, do we have the chance to link your products? Doesn't matter whether it's SystemProfiler or Code Profiler or Transport Profiler to a SIEM system. So we see a completely new structure. I think it will become standard soon, that you cannot sell even more your products without a really working SIEM interface. And therefore, I am a little bit concerned that only a few visitors joined this session, because I think this is one of the new topics, one of the new trends. So welcome to Joachim Ritter. I know him for many, many years. I don't tell you how many, because then you can imagine how old we are already. But I think the first time we met was when we were partly responsible for the upgrade to Windows 5 or 6 at a big German institution. So it's really shortly after the first Windows 3.12 arrived on the market. So really a lot of years ago. Yeah. Okay, so Joachim is a product owner of SystemProfiler. And your stage.
Thank you, Andreas. So welcome from my side. Andreas already did the introduction, so I do not need to explain what we are talking about. It's about SIEM solutions. It's about SystemProfiler. But I will dive into these topics deeper now. Let's have a look on the agenda first. So the agenda for this session is divided into 3 parts. The first part is about SIEM systems in general. We need to briefly discuss what is a SIEM system. But I think most of you already know this topic or even run SIEM systems in your companies. The second is about the connection between SystemProfiler, which is one of our solutions, one of the Virtual Forge solutions, the connection between SystemProfiler and SIEM system. And the second topic deals with the motivation. Why do you connect SystemProfiler with a SIEM system? And the third topic explains how it works actually, and we will show it in the system, even live, how it works. Okay? Yeah. So let's start with a kind of a crash course about SIEM systems. We will see in our live demo a Splunk instance connected to one of our systems. So we work with Splunk in our test environments too. Next. So let's get on the same level, all in the room. What does SIEM mean? SIEM is an abbreviation, of course. It stands for Security Information and Event Management. And actually, it developed from 2 different types of applications. One was the information management for security topics, and one was the event management. The intention, let's start from the bottom. The intention is to get a comprehensive view on the security issues in your system landscape. And it's not only about SAP systems or certain applications, it's about your complete IT infrastructure, software and hardware. And the function, how does it work? A SIEM system usually reads logs of all the entities in your IT infrastructure. It collects the data, it correlates the data, especially important to detect attacks. We already talked about attacks this morning in the introduction, in the first session. A SIEM system should, or one of the main intentions is to even detect attacks as they happen. So you should have the option to react on attacks in real time. Yeah, that's the idea of the SIEM systems, but not only. A SIEM system, meanwhile, provides also functionality for even forensic analytics or even for forecasts, how the security situation in your system landscape develops. Yeah, the next slide displays the input for the typical input sources for a SIEM system. As you can see, it starts with the operating systems and the databases, the network instances. Of course, all the systems which are related to security are involved. These intrusion detection systems or the identity management systems here. And of course, all our applications running in the company should provide data for the SIEM systems, because usually each application in your business, even business applications, contains security relevant information. And in this context, we also talk about the SAP systems, because even if the SIEM installations usually not cover the SAP systems, and that's the point where SystemProfiler comes into play, but later. Okay, based on this input and based on this data, a SIEM system provides different types of functionality or functions, which is a log management. So a SIEM system is all about logs. That's important to know. It reads and consumes logs. And it provides reporting and analytical functionality, especially for forensic analytics. And on the other hand, the event management component, it provides real-time monitoring functionality. That's what I already mentioned before. And of course, alerting functionality and incident management functions. Yeah. The question of this slide is a bit provoking. Yeah, it simply deals to the challenges connected with a running or operating a SIEM system. It's not, you're not done by simply connecting all the logs to the SIEM system. That's something you might already know, because if we are talking about a comprehensive approach for a SIEM system, such a system can, in large companies, easily read hundreds of gigabytes of data per day. So we are talking about a huge amount of data that is provided for the SIEM systems. And you really need an approach how to deal with this data. So usually you would have to cover 3 different types of activities connected to your SIEM system: watch, run, and tune. So first you have to decide on the scenarios or the use cases, even the attack types you want to observe in your landscape. Build on this, or based on this decision, you can connect the relevant logs to your SIEM system, or you have to connect them. That's more challenging than it sounds. And at the end, you need to tune the SIEM system. It needs to learn the patterns that you're looking for, that you want to observe in your landscape. So the attack pattern, for example. Yeah, and all these activities are not only set up or necessary in a setup process for a SIEM system, but this is really ongoing effort. So at the end, you need to set up a team that deals with the maintenance of the content of a SIEM system and even usually extends the scope for the observing function of the SIEM system. So maybe some of you can comment on that. Is someone involved in these processes that are mentioned here? So you simply have to believe me that this is the issue. And this is why SystemProfiler also comes into play, but again, later. Let's have a short example regarding the connection of the logs. This is a screenshot from Splunk. It shows or displays the so-called source types, which are nothing else than the log types that can be read out of the box by a Splunk system. So they are provided with a delivery, the definition of these source types. And as you can see, there are logs from Tomcat, from Java instances, from Ruby on Rails web applications and Oracle applications. But there are no SAP logs in the list. And that's the issue that we deal with if we install a Splunk or whatever SIEM system in our landscape. And I know that there are add-ons for Splunk, for ArcSight, and for the other leading SIEM systems to connect SAP systems. But usually these connectors cover the system log of SAP or the security audit log, but that's all. So as you might know, a typical ABAP or Java SAP system contains a lot of more logs, and most of them contain security relevant information. So you have a lot of, let's say, manual work if you set up a SIEM system for the connection to the SAP systems. So as already mentioned, we now start with the motivation for the connection between our SystemProfiler and the SIEM systems. First question, who is already aware what SystemProfiler, the Virtual Forge solution, does? Who already worked with SystemProfiler? So contrary, or this means that some of you don't know SystemProfiler. That's at least my assumption. So let's explain what SystemProfiler does, the Virtual Forge solution. It's our solution to ensure or check and even correct the configuration of SAP systems regarding security, quality, compliance issues. And if I talk about configuration, this means all the profile parameters, of course, all the roles and authorizations, all the connections, so RFC connections, the gateway settings, and so on and so on, the ICF settings, so the service framework. All this is checked by SystemProfiler. Usually these are status checks, but SystemProfiler also comes with a lot of forensic test cases. And forensic test cases is something that comes from the logs, but not only, and provides events or information on events. And this is what is really interesting for the SIEM systems. And that's why the connection between SystemProfiler and a SIEM system makes sense in general, but there are further reasons. And these reasons are mentioned here. The first is a central approach of SystemProfiler. SystemProfiler is installed in your SAP landscape, but it runs on a central instance and collects all the events, all the critical events in the form of test cases within the central system. And only the central system of SystemProfiler needs to be connected to the SIEM system. This includes a real huge benefit for you, because you are not forced to connect all the SAP systems one by one to the SIEM system, but you only need to connect the central system that runs SystemProfiler, the central instance. The first benefit. The second, if we are talking about logs, only SAP logs in this case, there are certain types of logs. Some are file system based, some are database based, and there are lots of versions of these logs. So the logs might change from SAP version to SAP version. They might change from even support package to the next support package. And all these changes and different formats are covered by SystemProfiler. And SystemProfiler provides a unified format that can be handed over to the SIEM system afterwards. So the SIEM system is not forced to deal with all the different SAP log formats and versions. That's a huge benefit again. And third, but not the least, we have so-called semantic intelligence within SystemProfiler. So we do not hand over complete logs to the SIEM system, but we provide pre-qualified events. Yeah, we already find the critical events within the SAP system, and the people who are working with SystemProfiler know the internal behavior of the SAP system, and they can define the test cases for SystemProfiler properly. And if they detect some critical data constellation in the system or situation, behavior of the system, they can simply throw an event that is handed over to the SIEM system. So the intelligence for the event detection of the SIEM system, of the SAP system, is within SystemProfiler and not within the SIEM system anymore. This leads to a situation, this is not on the slide, that you reduce the amount of data that has to be handed over to the SIEM system dramatically. And usually the SIEM systems are paid per volume. So you have to pay the volume of logs that you consume with the SIEM systems. And if you use SystemProfiler, the volume can be reduced dramatically. And last but not least, this point is very important. SystemProfiler does not read only logs to detect critical events. SystemProfiler has, based on our experience and the customer experience, the experience of our customers, test cases that can even detect critical events that bypass the logs. So they do not appear on the logs at all, but SystemProfiler can detect them. And that's something we can show you afterwards in the live demo. Okay. So we are focusing with these different advantages of SystemProfiler, the run and tune efforts in the SIEM system. Yeah, how does it work? This is a simplified schema that displays the function of the SIEM interface of SystemProfiler. So SystemProfiler has a central instance, as already mentioned, and from this central instance, a so-called inspection is triggered in the system landscape, in the SAP landscape. So all the connected SAP systems are inspected regarding certain test cases. And as soon as the results are transferred back to the central system, they are immediately written to the interface file. And this interface file is, kannst du einmal klicken? This interface file is afterwards, or is continuously monitored by the SIEM system. In our case, it's a Splunk system. And the SIEM system can more or less in real time react on the critical event. Yeah. So one further deep dive into the architecture of the SIEM interface. It's some kind of a block diagram that shows how the interface is implemented. We have one central component within the dispatcher, within the system profiler that is called the dispatcher. And this component triggers the inspection and retrieves the results from the target systems. And as soon as the target's data is retrieved from the target, it's stored in our result database, and in parallel, it's handed over to the SIEM interface. And the SIEM interface consists of three major steps. First is a field mapping. The second is an output formatting. So regarding the output, we currently create CEF format, which is a more or less industry standard created by ArcSight. And we support LEEF out of the box. So if you want to start with your own test cases of SystemProfiler, you can simply use our conversion methods to create CEF or LEEF format out of it. And last but not least, the CEF or LEEF content is transferred to the file, to the interface file. This is the method that we support out of the box by default with SystemProfiler. But using an API, there can be, you have the option to implement further transfer methods as REST requests that are possible with certain SIEM systems. Yes, syslog is supported in general. It's okay. So syslog, yes, it's supported. Yeah, this is a short, brief look into the implementation guide of SystemProfiler. So all of our products come with an implementation guide. And here you see this section with the activities to configure the SIEM interface. So, kannst noch zweimal klicken. Nochmal. So you have different tables, one for the preparation of the test cases, assigning all the field mapping and output processing steps. So you can simply assign the field mapping in the output formats and the transfer method to a test case. And then you have the option even to do a one-by-one field mapping. Yeah, that's not necessary, but it's optional. Yeah. Okay. Questions so far?
You have been talking about the interface file, and what we want to know is it planned to meld the SystemProfiler with SAP ETT, for example?
Yeah, of course. Sorry, I didn't mention this. We are in the tightest connection with SAP regarding the integration of SystemProfiler and ETD. Of course, ETD is a kind of a SIEM system as well. I didn't mention it yet, but yes, we also have a session afterwards this afternoon, I think, which deals with the connection of SystemProfiler and ETD. To answer your question, the interface file even can be consumed by ETD. So we are in a discussion with SAP. They provide the option to read the CEF format, and we actually agreed on the keys of the CEF format with SAP. So they are able to read the CEF content that we provide by default. So you can create semantic events within ETD by using SystemProfiler test cases.
But we still need the interface file anymore, right?
We still need the interface file, but there are options to implement further transfer methods. And regarding ETD, there are further options. I know them, and we already discussed them with SAP. And for sure, in the next versions of SystemProfiler, we will provide a method to access the ETD directly, not via interface file.
Okay, and the timeline is?
Good question, as always. Yeah. So we ship 2 versions per year. I think the next 2 versions one of the next 2 versions will contain this method. Yeah. Because we are in an ongoing discussion for almost 1 year now with SAP. The first was a format harmonization, and the next step is a transfer method. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
And this might give you enough time to install SystemProfiler and use then afterwards the ETD interface.
Okay. After some explanations about SIEM SystemProfiler, we now like to show you a live demo. We set up one scenario in our test landscape. So let me explain the setup briefly. We have one SAP NetWeaver system ABAP, which is our so-called target system. That's the system that we observe. And we have one central instance of SystemProfiler on another ABAP system. And this central system triggers inspections against this target system in a regular basis, so with a high frequency. And it looks for certain test cases. In our showcase, it's test case 10. That's just a number, but the key, the intention behind this key is to detect users which got extensive rights in the system, sub-all. Some of you might know what it means. Sub-all rights, but not granted via the user management, but granted via, let's say, a hack. And that's the way it never would appear in a log, and no SIEM system would detect such an attack just by reading the logs. But SystemProfiler can detect this hack, and it creates events that can immediately be transferred to our SIEM, which is a Splunk installation or instance. Yeah. And my colleague will demonstrate how it works in the system. Sorry, I forgot to introduce. I'm happy that he's with me. He's one of our experienced architecture developers within the SystemProfiler team. Gerd Holz is his name, and he will start with the demo now.
What we've preferred so far is we are already logged into the Q71 system, on which we do this sort of hack. And Joachim has already logged onto that system. What I do is I simply create a new user with no authorizations, no roles at all. So that means we have that one. 01, say.
If you can't see the screen, you are still invited to come closer to the stage.
So that's all. What I do is I have to provide the password, the initial one. You all know that. And I'm already done. So we have no roles, no profiles at all. I click on save. And well, it's a big typo, so I have to remember the name of that. Of the newly created user. So I open another session to log on to that system.
Q73, falsches System.
Yeah, wrong system. So paste it here. password, and I have to enter a new one. Confirm, you all know that, and we're in. So, and because I have no roles and no authorizations assigned to that user, so I shouldn't be able to do anything with that user. So I can't call transactions SystemProfiler, or I can't open the transport management system. No authorization at all. So I'm going back to the session what we have here. And we have a nice little tool on that system, which allows me, without changing one of these user profiles also, to change the authorizations of that user I have created just now.
Actually, this is done just by updating one database table. Some of you might know this, and this is a hack that also even can be done using transports. That's something we already showed in a previous session. But we do it with a database update. Nee, sub-all ist richtig. So we assign sub-all to this user, more or less.
And now I go back to that log-on of the session of that newly created user, and let's see what I can do now. Yeah, and we're in. So now I'm the master of the system. And well, I think I could go away with that, but what we expect is the SystemProfiler detect that attempt to do something mischievous, and so we have to entertain you a second. So as long as it takes SystemProfiler to run at least one inspection on that system, and then in the central system something should come up, and I think you configured it to get an email now, and we already should see then in the Splunk system what happened just now in the Q71.
So log is not enough. So I think our main message is that just logging in SIEM is not enough, because we have so many ways to change data in SAP that you need much more tools than just logs.
So, and meanwhile, while we are discussing, the notification appeared in my inbox, and that's what I configured in Splunk. So you see that I got an email from Splunk, and Splunk was obviously detecting that SystemProfiler was detecting an issue with a user. So the chain is as described. We did the hack in this target system. The central system detected this hack and transferred the information to the Splunk system, and Splunk sent an email to me, and this is the notification just 1 or 2 minutes later. And let's have a look to this email. It contains the username my colleague created. It contains the system where the incident happened, and it contains context information regarding the run of the SystemProfiler, regarding the user context. And that was all configured within minutes within Splunk. So that's the way it works. Let's have a short look to the Splunk system, just to give you an impression if you're not familiar with the SIEM technology.
Joachim, 5 minutes left.
Okay. So in Splunk you have powerful search and evaluation options. It's not only specific for Splunk, but this is our example. So you can search for events that come from SystemProfiler with the class ID 10. This is a test case ID that we send to the Splunk system. And we can check for the events of the last 60 minutes. And surprisingly, we find just the event that we sent to the SIEM system. And this is a Ceph format. If you didn't see it before, it contains a syslog header, it contains header information, and it contains name-value pairs. in the data part, and these name value pairs and the header fields are immediately recognized by the Splunk system after I install the Ceph plugin. So no need to configure anything else in the Splunk system. The Ceph content can immediately be evaluated within Splunk as we send it from the central system of SystemProfiler. And you get all the fields here. For example, the user ID. Let's extend the scope and check the events of yesterday. You get a timeline with a distribution of the events on top, and then a list of the events. And if you check the usernames, for example, you get the distribution of the usernames in the events. And you can filter further on. Yeah, that's really great functionality, and it's without any configuration in Splunk. And you can create reports out of it or dashboards and define alerts, as I did. So, questions regarding this live demo?
So, the question would be, are you providing any rule sets within the SIEM system, or do I have to reinvent the wheel again? Or?
Yeah, actually, we do not provide rule sets yet, but for ETD, we are in discussion with SAP to provide content for ETD. That's something you can see in our session this afternoon. But for Splunk, ArcSight, and so on, it's currently not planned, but depending on the project situation with our customers, we can discuss even that. Because
what about any playbooks, for example, to provide?
Sorry,
are you providing any playbooks? So what kind of messages may come in my SIEM system?
Yes, we can provide that. Yeah. So there's a catalog of all our forensic test cases and even what is planned. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we are almost done with the presentation. Let's sum up. The key message that you should take with you is that you can improve the SIEM processing for your SAP landscape with SystemProfiler significantly. That's the message you should keep in mind. This is because SystemProfiler comes with pre-qualified content. These are the forensic test cases that I just mentioned. SystemProfiler provides format normalization and provides supports the CEF or LEF format out of the box that you can use for the transfer. SystemProfiler content is extensible. That's quite important. As you, as a customer, might extend the content for the SIEM system. You can do it even on the SAP side using SystemProfiler with new test cases and new SIEM configuration. And last but not least, our SIEM interface provides advanced features as duplicate detection, so events that might be detected twice or 3 times or 4 times are transferred only once. And we, of course, have a status management built in to follow all the events that we transfer or follow up all the events that we transfer to a SIEM system. In case of a forensic analytic, this might be necessary. Okay, thank you for your attention. Thank you for joining this session. Are there further questions? Yeah, if not, I'm still available. Yeah, afterwards I'm in this session, in the next session in this room, but after lunch we might meet at the info point downstairs or even in this room. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much, Joachim.